Discord has recently been adding lots of features to their platform. Super reactions, higher upload limit for non-Nitro users, I can finally upload screenshots, new device themes, but that being said, most features evidently have a Nitro focus. Let's take a look at some of the things Discord should add that would improve the general experience, rather than focusing mainly on adding core quirks and perks. Letting server owners whitelist emoji will allow you to have certain custom emojis exclusively for display purposes, such as social media logos, dividers, or just generally emojis that aren't meant to be used in chat or for reactions, not by server members, basically. These emojis could be whitelisted to roles that could post in an information or announcement channel. The ability to whitelist specific users rather than roles would also be good. Blacklisting could also be added. Server backups. Personally, I occasionally like to make backups of my server, so if my server ever gets raided, I don't have to rebuild it from the ground up. Obviously, I'd lose every message in the server and have to redo many information channels, but the base structure is kept and all the roles and channels have their permissions retained. Anyway, it is currently possible to make backups by saving a server template of your server and generating a new one from the template. However, for this to become a built-in feature would be great, because it would make it more accessible and obvious to everyone, and not a think outside the box kind of thing, because I would not be surprised if not many people have thought of this. The way I visualize backups working is you would save a backup of your server in the server templates menu, and each time you do that, it would save a version of your server which you can access and generate a server from at any time. Because as it stands, making a backup of your server is limited, because when that template is deleted or overwritten, you cannot get back to it. This also means that you must generate the server each time you wish to back it up, which only gets you closer to that 100 or 200 server limit as they pile up. Through the UI I'm proposing, you type in the name of the backup, for example, before adding anti-raid bot, and put a small description of why you are making this backup. For example, in case the bot somehow destroys your server. It happens. Then, click save to take a snapshot of the current version of your server with the details you wrote, and it will store the save at the bottom of the server templates menu, ready to be accessed at any time. Now, let's assume it's been a couple of weeks and that anti-raid bot did destroy your server because you mismanaged it. Going to the template, you can either click revert to this version or save as new server. The first option will completely overwrite the current server, which would not lose all your messages like a normal backup would. Now, let me explain why. I know messages cannot be cloned when you use a server template, for obvious reasons. However, if you are overwriting the current server, I imagine the messages could be kept, as long as that channel with the messages in is also present in the backup. The name of the channel doesn't need to match, because if it's the same channel, then it will share the same ID. I mean, come on, imagine that. Raids would no longer be a problem. Get raided, restore from the previous backup, and essentially hop into a time machine to before hell broke loose. Raiders would have no more power. Now, click any other option, save as new server. We'll generate a separate server from the backup, so you get to keep the current one without overwriting it like the first option would, in case you want to do conventional backups like I was saying about earlier, but through an official UI. Now, moving on. Have you ever searched for anything, any message in a server? Have you not always been satisfied and perhaps felt like you haven't found what you were looking for? I know I have. Too many times even. Introducing search accuracy options. There will be 3 filters. The current algorithm will be available under weak, and next up from that will be strict. This would only show search results that match exactly what words I typed. Then, the strictest option, exact, would be just like strict, except the messages would have to be identical to your search input. Perhaps it would exclude results that have other words in as well. When you select exact, a small option would appear. Clicking it would toggle case sensitivity. I'm sure there will be a time when this would be useful, but either way I don't think a small button could hurt. Making search accuracy filtering accessible to everyone with a nice UI will drastically improve the search engine. It would also save a lot of time finding exactly what you want, freeing users from having to literally search the search results. You know, it's always unfortunate when you make an embed with lots of information in it. It takes up a lot of the channel and it can look like a wall of text. Sometimes you need to include extra information that perhaps not everyone needs to see, or would be better in a drop-down list, and then you could give it a nice title. Upon expanding the list, all the information will be inside, rather than making the information visible all the time, making the embed extremely long. What if you just wanted a quick bit of information, like an info tooltip? Hover over the text and it will reveal a bit of information that the user does not always need to see, especially if it doesn't concern them. This tooltip could also appear as a nice highlight, so the user knows that there is some key information to hover over to read. Now I understand this may be a limitation of JSON, but a man could dream. Continuing with the spirit of drop-down text, have you ever created a forum post or typed in one, and then noticed that the post remains in the channel list? Especially annoying when they stack up.
Disgusting!
What if, instead of unfollowing each post or thread individually, we could simply click a drop-down arrow on the forum or channel and it would collapse them all? Or, you could right-click the forum or channel and toggle the collapse box. Neat, right? Well, exactly. and you can still get the notifications, unlike if you unfollow the channel. What's not to love? I have many more ideas and concepts like these, so if you want to see what those could look like, let me know. But before you do that, check out my high quality collection of all the emojis, role icons, and headers you will ever need to make a breathtaking server at anode.gumroad.com/al/assets. Oh yeah, there's a free option too.